Yo guys, welcome to the Zelda fiction. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the White Emperor and got Harem in DxD? Part 1. Huge shout out to X10 a Shadow Fox for this story. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe. It was night, as the night sky had a full moon where it filled the evening with an enchanting view for the world to see. However, for one child, for now, it just emphasizes his loss. Earlier in the afternoon, he just received word that both his parents were killed in the line of duty. Once he heard the news, the young child ran into his father's office, since it was a room that he and his parents often hang out together, and cried his eyes out while holding not only his but his mother's lockets in his hand. The young child is actually a young boy who was 6 years old. He had spiky blonde hair that resembled the same golden color as the sun, sky blue sapphire eyes with tan skin. He was about an average height that an average 6-year-old would be. There was also something different about him that only those like him would know. He was a devil. The young boy's name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Naruto is a high-class devil born from two high-class devils, Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze. Both his parents were reincarnated devils that served the Agars family for the past 100 years. You see, Naruto was born in the underworld since his parents were servants of one of the 34 current pillars in the underworld. His parents met since they were part of a peerage from each of the current lord and lady of the Agars family. While accomplishing their tasks, they sometimes get involved with several tasks together, since both are skilled in seals and investigation. Soon after, they fell in love where they got married. For 100 years, both his parents have worked hard in order to get themselves promoted from low-class devils to high-class, where they were able to have a better life from all the work they've accomplished. After many years of being together, their love soon gave birth to Naruto, who became a high-class devil, since his parents had earned the title of being high-class. For years, both he and his parents lived together in peace in a simple 2-story building that had 9 rooms, not including the bathroom and closets. During which, Naruto loved how his parents, whenever they had free time, would play and teach him everything he needed to know, such as reading, writing, and math. He also became friends with several people that his parents were teamed up with in the peerage they were in. Things were good, although Naruto was scared that he would never see them again every time his parents would leave, for sometimes because of the Agars family request, since the family was their king. Of course, before they left, they would always say that they love him with all their hearts, which he always told them back, where he would be taken care by the servants for the time being. Unfortunately, his fears about never seeing them again have come true. It was this day, late in the afternoon, that Naruto was summoned by one of the servants to meet someone at his front door. He saw that it was one of his parents' friend, another of the Agars peerage members. It was here that the older devil had told them that his parents were killed. Being a child, he denied it of course, but the older devil told the child that his parents were killed by an enemy that took them by surprise. He even gave Naruto proof in the form of a locket, the same locket that he had around his neck. His locket had a picture of both his parents, while his mother's locket held his picture. After seeing the locket, which was damaged a bit, he took and ran into his father's office, where we are at. The elder devil decided to give the boy some alone time, since he knew now that the boy was now an orphan. Going straight to one of the servants, he gave an order to tell the other servants to keep the boy safe for now, under the order from the Agars family. Once it was done, he went to inform his king, Lord Agars. Agars Manor. The Agars mansion was enormous, basically the size of castle or famous building, like the White House or the Buckingham Palace. Currently, Lord Agars was sitting in his office, waiting for an important individual to arrive to discuss a recent event that cost him and his wife 2 very valuable members of either of their peerage. It wasn't long before his guest arrived. Being escorted in by one of his servants, Lord Agars greeted the leader of the 4 Satans, Surzich's Lucifer. Walking alongside him was Surzich's maid, who was also known as the most powerful queen in the underworld, Graphia Lucifuge, the silver-hair queen of annihilation. Greeting the Satan into his home, Lord Agars immediately began to explain the details of the incident that happened earlier. A few days ago, Lord Agars sent 2 of members of his and his wife peerage to gather intelligence from an intel that came out of nowhere. The intel explained that a powerful being was starting to make a move towards the 3 factions. He explained that before he brought the information to the other Satans, he wanted proof, so he sent his best members in espionage. Unfortunately, he received intel from them that they were close in finding out who it was, but soon was surprised when the routed reports didn't come in for a while, where he sent other members of his peerage. It was then that they soon discovered that the backup force didn't find them, but found a locket. Inside the locket, a special seal was activated where the information that was gathered was stored, but also explained that if anyone found this locket, then the 2 of are either captured or dead. From the information, it is confirmed that members of the old Satan faction are a part of this group now. Lord Agars said. Are you certain of this? Surzich's questioned. Yes, Minato and Kushina made it very clear in their dying message that the old Satan faction is part of this new group, although the leader still remained a mystery, as well as its cause. Lord Agars responded. Lord Surziches, we must now investigate this information. If it is the old Satan faction, then it's possible that the descendants of the former Devil Kings might be involved. The silver hair maid suggested. Yes, we should. I will send Beowulf to continue where your people have left off. Surziches said, which Lord Agars nodded in agreement. It was then that the door was knocked on from outside Lord Agars' office, where the person stated himself as his pawn. Lord Agars allowed him to enter, where he bowed towards his king and to the Devil King, Surziches. Have you told the boy? Lord Agars asked. Yes, my lord. His pawn replied, I have also ordered the servants to watch over him for the time being. He finished his report. His king nodded in acceptance, which he then dismisses him to continue on with his other duties. Once Lord Agars' servant left, Surziches was curious on who the boy they were talking to. Lord Agars, out of curiosity, what boy are you talking about? The Devil King asked. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. He's the son of both of my family former servants who got us the information. Both were high-class devils that earned their titles. Thus their son being a high class as well. Lord Agars. I see. Does he have anyone? Surziches asked. No, he is the only one. Lord Agars quickly replied. What do you plan to do with him? Surziches wondered. He is the son of both my servants. We'll take him in where he'll become a servant. If anything, he can become the perfect servant to my daughter, Seekvaria, once she gets her evil pieces. Lord Agars. But what if he doesn't want to become a servant to a peerage? After all, as you said, he is a high-class devil from a high-class family, even if isn't a very well-known one. Surziches added his opinion. There isn't much to worry about since he is young and naive. Even though his parents were strong, they were still reincarnated devils with a gift in the art of sealing, along with being espionage experts. I don't see what other option he has. Lord Agars replied. It was then that one of Lord Agars' servants announced herself, which he allowed her to enter. The servant explained that one of the servants living in Minato and Kushina's home had found a letter that was addressed to Lord Agars. Lord Agars accepted, where he dismissed the servant to continue on. Surziches wondered what it is, where Lord Agars read out loud that Minato and Kushina had written a will in case something happened to them. The details of their will is in a safe deposit box located in City of Lilith, where it was also witnessed and signed by a lawyer. Hearing it, Surziches spoke up. Lord Agars. Although they were your servants, if you would be so kind, I would like to deal with your former servant's will. At the least we should do, since in a way, their death was a result of me and other Satan's ability on not settling the issue with the old Satan faction. Surziches requested. Taking a moment, Lord Agars agreed, since it meant less paperwork for him. With that, Surziches and Grafia left Lord Agars home to continue on with their business. As they were leaving, Surziches turned to Grafia. Grafia, as much as I don't want to hand you any more work, do you mind in taking care of this will and assure that it is complete taken care of? He asked his queen. Of course, Surziches Sama Grafia responded, where she took the letter to see the information. It was also here that Grafia asked her king something. Surziches Sama, out of curiosity, why do you really want to take care of this will? I can understand that they earned the title of high-class devil, even if they were reincarnated. Aside from that, why do you want to help them? She asked. Two strong and courageous individuals left this world while giving us their dying message about a possible threat to our future. They could have ended the investigation and called for more reinforcement, but didn't, where they gained the intelligence of new group popping up at the cost of their lives. I believe that such an act of sacrifice for their son's safety of the future should not go in vain. And although I have never met them, the thing that I can at least do for them is to assure that their last wishes would be taken care of and their son would receive his inheritance. Her king answered. Hearing Surziches' answer, Grafia had a small smile on her face at being reminded on why she chose Surziches as her king. Once they finished their conversation, they both left to go home. A year later. Naruto was currently living in the main house of the Agars family, where he was assigned to be a servant to Lord Agars' daughter, Seekvaria. While living there, Naruto was given his own room that was with a servant's corridor, which he didn't mind. While he wasn't working, he would study the books that his parents left him with. Naruto had a month of mourning where Lord Agars let him do what he wanted for the time. It was during that time that he was visited by Grafia, who he didn't know who she was or her king is. Grafia had checked the will that his parents left him, where she made sure that everything was accounted for. Written in the will, Naruto was to receive everything that they owned and bought after they became high-class devils. One was all the books that were in his father's office. His home was to be sold so it can pay for the servants that worked for them that they hired that wasn't given to them by the Agars family. The second was his financial inheritance, where it explained that he can't have it until he reaches 12 years old. Surprisingly, Minato and Kushina were able to invest their money wisely, where it surprises Grafia to know that Naruto has enough money to live comfortably by himself and such, along with help invest in his future plans. Finally, was his evil piece set. Minato written in the will that all his evil pieces were to be given to Naruto, since he had a total of 15 but didn't use it just yet. He also explained that if his evil pieces aren't able to be given to Naruto, then they are to be used to trade to Ijuka or by some means, in order to give Naruto his very own evil pieces. Grafia was surprised to read this where she thought the idea was possible where she explained that she'll need to talk to Ijuka about it. Of course, the evil piece he won't be receiving them until he's 10 years old. Once everything was set, Naruto started to work and live in the Agars family. Since then, the only person he accompanies with is Seekvaria. While he worked and guarded Seekvaria, he also learned the basic of demonic magic from Lord Agars' peerage. He was able to master the simple necessities such as teleportation, a barrier for defense, learning to fly with his devil wings, and simple hand-to-hand. As he improved in his physical mind, Naruto also continued his studies by reading the books that his parents left him. Naruto has proven to be a very intelligent child who was great in creating strategies on the fly instead of preparing beforehand. While he was being taught to defend Seekvaria, he couldn't help but have his thoughts wander about something, where his mind and attention always goes to the outside world, like the world was calling him for some reason. He shook it off as he knew that as of now, he would be in danger since he is just a little kid. 2 years later. The mansion of Lord Agars was nearly silent as rain fell upon the land. Currently, a 9-year-old Naruto was in his room, reading a fictional story inside hard book cover, a book called Tales of the Gusty Night. That he hasn't read since the day his parents died. It was a book characterizing about a young boy growing up in harsh conditions without anything, including parents. He then worked hard and rise up against all odds to become a legendary heroic knight that fought against evil, yet never hurt the innocent, while saving the souls of the damned. Naruto loved this story since it wasn't just the last story that his parents read to him, it was also a story that reminded him of himself from what his parents used to say to him. His mother and father had told Naruto that they believe and had faith that Naruto can grow up to become just like the hero of the story if he chose to. Knowing that his would be proud of him for reaching such a height would be wonderful. As read the last page, Naruto just let out a few small tears which landed on the back book cover. After a few tears fell on it, Naruto composed himself a bit before he noticed something that he never noticed before. Looking closely at the back of the book, Naruto saw that there was a hidden page perfectly aligned with the book cover. Freeing the page, he saw words written in it where he began to read. Reading the page, his eyes widened at what he discovered where he looked at all the books that his parents left for him. Mentally preparing himself, Naruto began to go through certain books that he discovered along with something else that was just as important, a letter. A year later. Walking down the corridor of the main hallway of the Agars family, Naruto was summoned by Lord Agars where he was waiting in his office. Coming up to it, he knocked on the door where he announces himself which Lord Agars allowed him to come into his office. Entering the office, Naruto glanced around where he notices that not only Lord Agars, but among him, presently, was Lady Agars and their daughter, Seekvaria. Standing in front of the current lord, Naruto stood up straight since he knew that Lord Agars was a man that wanted everyone below him to be attentive to him. Lord Agars, you requested me? Naruto asked. Yes. As you know that today is Seekvaria's 10th birthday. As such, earlier today she was taken to the location to gain her evil pieces and begin collecting her peerage. Lord Agars explained. I see. Is that the reason you called me so, to inform me about it, sir? Naruto replied, already guessing what the conversation was leading to. No, that is not the reason. You see, Seekvaria has been thinking long and hard for the past month since she knew that she would be getting her evil pieces. And as such, she has come to a decision where she wanted to present you. Lord Agars said before allowing his daughter to move forward. Naruto paid close attention at the Agars heiress as she moved in front of him. She lifted her arm while unclenching her hand to reveal what she was holding. In front of Naruto's face, Seekvaria held to him a chess piece, but not just any piece, the queen piece. Naruto-san, I want you to join my peerage as my queen. Seekvaria simply stated. Is that so? Naruto responded. I've been thinking about it where I believe it's the right decision since I've seen you over the years. You have studied and trained hard as well as knowing that you can complete any task that I've given you as both my personal servant and guard. Having you as my queen, I know that you have the ability to being my second in command. Seekvaria explained. I also believe it would be a good idea. Knowing that having someone who is already familiar to serve to would be advantage to you. Lord Agars added. Now then, Naruto, accept my request and become my queen. Seekvaria stated. Seeing the family looking at him with a look that said that they predict that he would agree with, Naruto decided to ask Seekvaria something in order to confirm on what path that he has been struggling on figuring out. Before I accept, can I ask Seekvaria-sama one question? Naruto requested, where it confused everyone a bit, where Seekvaria nodded in agreement since it was a question to her. Speaking freely, Seekvaria, if I become your queen, how would you see me as then? Naruto asked the young heiress. Confused on what he asked her, Seekvaria simply answered his question. Well, you would be my right hand. You'll assist me on running not only my affairs and peerage, but also several issues that I would need help in. She honestly said. Is that all? Naruto asked. Seekvaria said that was it, where Naruto tilted his head down as his bangs covered his eyes, hiding his expression. After a moment, Naruto responded. Alright then. I guess I know what my choice is now. Lord Agars, it would be my honor serve Seekvaria. Seekvaria smiled at having Naruto accept her request on becoming her first member in her peerage as her queen. Lord Agars nodded in satisfaction at seeing his daughter getting her first peerage member, along with Lady Agars, who also looked pleased. Both adults knew that Seekvaria's choice in picking Naruto was indeed a wise one, since, not only because of their earlier remarks, but also because they witnessed the boy growing up to see that, by his own hands, was able to reach an impressive level that nearly matched their daughter. Thinking about it, they believed that with proper instruction by veteran masters, Naruto would become a very powerful ally to their daughter. However, just as Seekvaria was about to begin the ritual, Naruto once again spoke up to the head family. But of course, that is something that you expect me to say. Getting their attention. To tell you the truth, lately I have been having some doubts about something important that something deep within me is telling me to do, while another part of me told me to just ignore it. He began to explain. It was then that they saw Naruto lift his face that held a smile of confidence and determination. I knew that sooner or later, Seekvaria-sama would try to make me part of her peerage. I decided to hear Seekvaria-sama answer my question to make my path clear, which she did. The blonde child said. Moving away from Seekvaria, Naruto faced Lord Agars with a look of gratitude and forgiveness. Lord Agars, thank you for taking care of me for all these years after my parents' death. But I sadly must ask you to accept my resignation as both Seekvaria-sama's guard and employer to your family. Naruto stated. Hearing Naruto saying that he wanted to quit working for the family, Lord Agars and his family, especially Seekvaria. Before anyone can say to him, Lord Agars talked. Naruto, you do realize that if you quit working for me and the family, you then have to leave our home. Lord Agars said. I already know that, which is why I plan to work for at least one more week so you can find a replacement for me to assist and guard Seekvaria-sama. After that, I plan to leave the house. Naruto said. You're just a child and you think you're grown up. You do realize that I was your parents' king, which makes me your king in both title and name. Lord Agars agitatedly stated. That true. You were my parents' king, but by law, since I was born as a high-class family, even if it just by title alone, I am a free devil who isn't associated to any family, since I am not a branch family member or anything related to the Agars family. I read the right that high-class devils have and such. Naruto said as he added to his answer to Lord Agars. Lord Agars frowned at being caught by surprise before he started to unleash his devil power, raising it to a very high level. Naruto, even if you are a high-class devil, you belong to this family and will continue to work for me until I see otherwise. Now you will become my daughter's queen and accept your fate. Lord Agars coldly said to the young boy, who quivered a bit while Seekvaria shook in fear at feeling her father's power. Still quivering, Naruto took a deep breath before he mustered all his courage, which he narrowed his eyes as he shook off Lord Agars' powerful aura as he looked at him in the eye. I already sent a copy of my letter of resignation to Lord Gremory a few days ago. I remember hearing that the Gremory family treats the people that work for them fairly and such, which is why I sent them a letter. I explained my situation to him, where I told him that I am a free high-class devil, that I might quit working for you, Lord Agars, because of a personal issue. I also said that you might force me against my will to leave, where I asked him if he doesn't hear from me in a week from now, that to come here to pick me up. And for helping him, I promised to serve the Gremory family for 2 years without pay or pay the debt in any other kind of form that is within my power. Naruto said rebelliously. Hearing that he has gotten the father of Lord Lucifer, he knows that politically, Naruto has started to cause a very serious matter, which could get not only Lord Gremory, but also the Devil King, Lucifer, involved, which could cause problems to the family, since Naruto was indeed a high-class devil. If Naruto was a low or mid-class devil, then he wouldn't have to worry, but the boy was a high class, which the law is protecting him. Trembling in rage at how he was outsmarted by a boy no even 10 years old, Lord Agars glared at him. You'll work as our servant for 1 more week, but then you'll leave without pay and never return to home ever again, understood? Lord Agars sneered out in anger. Naruto sighed as he was glad that his discussion on being able to leave freely, without any consequences, went smoothly. Once it was done, Naruto dismissed himself, where he said that he'll prepare himself on attending Seekvaria's birthday party, since he was still her guardian. Walking down the corridor, Naruto mentally made a list on what he needs to do before the 7 days are over. His thoughts ceased when he heard a young girl cry out his name. Turning around, he saw that it was Seekvaria, looking at him with annoyance. Walking up to him, Seekvaria looked at him with a serious look on her face. Why are you leaving my family? Why won't accept my invitation to becoming a member of my peerage? She asked. Naruto simply looked at her with a smirk on his face. It's because of what you said that pushed my decision in leaving that much clearer. And because of that, I know that my path is out there in the world. Naruto responded. My answer, what exactly is it that I said that made you decide on leaving? Seekvaria retorted. You'll figure it out one day. Naruto simply said before turning his back towards her. Now then, I must prepare. I have 1 week to get ready on leaving your home. I also have to make myself presentable since tonight is your birthday party. So, until then Seekvaria-sama, I bid you a good day. He said as he walks away from the young Agars heiress. Night. In a hotel located in the Agars family territory, high-ranking families from the 34 pillars, as well as other important officials and such, with young children or teens, have come to celebrate Seekvaria's birthday. Although the party was meant for the young Agars heiress, the party was mostly used for the adults to have important discussions with each other, along with other things, while the children learn to develop important social skills which they would need in order to lead their family one day. As the events continued to move forward, Naruto did what he usually does in these type of events, keeping an eye on Seekvaria and assist her in any way she need. While being on his best behavior, he also did his best on listening to the conversation of the adults, where he knew that he needs to be ready for when the time comes when he grows older. As he looked on, he notices someone that he has seen several times before where he wanted to meet. Maintaining his awareness at the crowd, he failed to be completely focused on Seekvaria, who had a frown on her face. The reason is because she knew that in 1 week, her faithful servant would be leaving her side. Her thoughts about the situation ceased when she heard a few young people calling her name. Seekvaria, are you okay? Yes, it's your birthday party. You should be more entertained than this. Seekvaria turned to see that it was the heiress of the Gremory and Citri family, Ria's Gremory and Sona Citri. Ria's Gremory is a young 7-year-old with back-length crimson hair, green-blue eyes, and wearing a pretty dress. Sona Citri is the same age as Ria's, who wore a dress similar to Ria's, but she had a bob-cut hairstyle to her black hair and wore glasses. Greeting Gremory-san, Citri-san. What's got you so bummed out? The red-haired Gremory. I received my evil pieces today. Seekvaria stated. Really? Both girls were excited to hear since it meant that Seekvaria would begin to gather her peerage. However, before the heiress could ask the birthday girl, Seekvaria grimed at what she said next. However, the person I had wished to become my queen has rejected my offer. While mildly glaring at Ria's a bit. Hearing that someone actually rejected the chance to become a queen to the future leader of the Agars family was surprising to hear. Before they could say anything, they were interrupted by the voice of a young male. Excuse me, Seekvaria-sama. The 3 girls turned to see Naruto disrupting their conversation. Seekvaria responded to him on what he'd want. I just want to inform you that I will be leaving your side for a bit as I would like to have a discussion with someone that I just noticed walk in right now. Naruto explained. Seekvaria nodded her head, alright, you may leave, but return in 5 minutes since I still need to meet and greet the rest of the guests. Seekvaria said, which Naruto agreed. As Naruto temporarily removed himself from the Agars heiress side, Seekvaria just looked with sadness at his disappearing figure. While she frowns at him, Rias and Sona both had a gaze of desire. The reason is, even though he was dressed nicely with a simple white dress shirt, black dress pants and shoes, Naruto had a very strong aura for someone at their age. I must admit, Seekvaria, you're definitely lucky on having someone as a possible peerage member. Sona stated. You're right, he is definitely strong. And I must admit that he looks cute. Why don't you forget about the person that rejected your offer and make him your queen? Rias said. I agree with Rias. With him by your side, you'll definitely have a very strong person for support. Sona added. Both girls turned back to Seekvaria, only for them to see her in a depressing state. They both asked on what's wrong with her. It was then that she told them that he was the one that rejected her offer in becoming her queen for her peerage. Surprised to hear this, they asked on what happened. The young heiress began to explain on everything that happened earlier, where things went smoothly, since she and her family had guessed that he would accept her offer because of the years of loyalty that he has proven to them throughout the years. However, when she explained about his thoughts as well as answering his question, he rejected her offer, where he then told her father that he not only quit being her guard and employer, but was also leaving the house to be on his own. Both girls were stunned to hear that Seekvaria's assistant guard was leaving her side. They asked her on what was her answer to him, word by word, which the two were confused about it. But Naruto left Seekvaria's side, where he made his way through the crowd of high-class individuals while being polite about it. While Naruto was making his way, two certain individuals, along with their wives by their side, were having an interesting conversation. "Lord Agars, your daughter's birthday party has been going smoothly," said someone. "Thank you, Lord Gremory," Lord Agars said. "I'm sure that this event would be help lighten up Seekvaria's spirit considering she is losing someone important to her," Lord Gremory said. Lord Agars frowned while his wife looked saddened about it. Lord Gremory's wife was curious on what her husband meant. Lord Gremory was about to answer until they heard a young voice speak up to them. "Excuse me for the interruption, Lord Agars, but I would like to greet your guests." All of them looked down to see a young 10-year-old boy with blonde hair. He bowed respectively towards both Lord Agars and Lord Gremory. "Why hello there. My, what a proper young man you have here, Lord Agars. What is your name, young man?" Lady Gremory asked, seeing the young boy acting proper to them. "Greetings, Lady Gremory. I'm Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, a high-class devil by title." Naruto introduced himself as he answered Lady Gremory's question. Hearing Naruto introduce himself, Lord Gremory looked intrigued at the boy since he is someone that he was looking forward to meet. "Hello, Naruto-san. It's very nice to meet you. But out of curiosity, why aren't you talking with the other children?" Lady Gremory wondered. "I wanted to speak to Lord Gremory for a moment if it's alright with you," Naruto politely asked. Before Lord Agars can tell Naruto to leave them alone, Lord Gremory spoke up. "Alright then, I was actually interested in meeting you, especially about the letter you sent me a couple of days ago." "The letter?" Lady Gremory repeated. "It's a personal matter, my dear. I explain it to you a bit later. But right now, I would like to speak to this interesting young man," Lord Gremory replied as he walked forward. "Let us go somewhere and talk privately, young Naruto," directed the young boy. "Excuse me, Lord and Lady Agars," he politely said to the hosts. Lord Gremory led Naruto, who followed behind, to a balcony where it was just the two of them. Being alone, Lord Gremory turned to the boy to see that he was looking straight in the eye in front of him. "You know, out of concern for a young child's safety, I would be explaining to Lord Agars that I would not be supporting you simply because you are still too young. However, you got me intrigued since a young child wanting to leave to decide on his own fate is very surprising. So, I would like to ask you in person on what do you plan to do after you leave from the house of Agars?" questioned Lord Gremory. Naruto gazed at Lord Gremory as the two looked directly at each other's eyes while an ominous wind breezed between them. A week later. As morning started to show, Naruto slowly walked around the room he called his own for the past couple of years. In this room, he not only slept but also learned on how to wield his magic to his best of his ability. How he stayed up late into the night, coming up with magical formulas, equations for fighting, reading and viewing rating games, etc. Currently, the young 10-year-old is currently dressed in a short-sleeved blue shirt that held his family symbol, Whirlpool, with rusty orange cargo pants with sneakers. Around his neck held his locket that had his parents' picture in it. On his shoulders, he carried a backpack that held several scrolls that sealed his belongings and several other objects that he needed in order to survive the outside world. Carefully gazing at his room one last time, he stepped out and closed the door. Calmly walking through the hallway corridors, Naruto looked around as he prepared himself on leaving the Agars family compound. Getting close to the exit, he was surprised to see that the only person standing between him and the outside world was Seekvaria. Continuing to walk forward, Seekvaria stood in front of him where she held her queen piece in front of him again. "Once again, become my queen," the young heir declared with a bit of emotion in her tone. "No," the blonde child simply answered as he moved around her to continue his leaving. "Why? Why are you being so stubborn and stupid? You know you can't survive outside these walls," Seekvaria declared. "You don't know that. And besides, I have my own path to follow," Naruto replied. "What path? What kind of nonsense are you talking about?" Seekvaria questioned. "It's something that my parents written to me in a will that was kept in secret in a book of mine. They explained some stuff to me where it made me wondered about some things. But now, I have to move forward and in order to see where it can take me, since I now have a goal that I want to fulfill," Naruto said. "What goal is it?" she asked. "It's a goal that none of the lords aren't able to do because of their pride or standing. But maybe with me, I can since I have no problem on what needs to be done. However, before I could even attempt it, I need to get stronger. That's the reason why I have to leave," Naruto said. "I don't know what you are thinking, but I will say this one more time. Become my queen, take your place by my side. This is the last time I am going to ask you. There will be no other chances after this. Seekvaria. Then this is goodbye. Hopefully, you will learn on why I refused your offer. Until then, good luck on building your peerage since soon I will also start on building mine." Naruto said as he stepped out of the Agars estate where Seekvaria narrowed her eyes on his leaving, not even embracing the fact that running down her eyes were her tears at losing someone who she believed would always be with her. Gremory estate. Naruto was sitting on a couch, waiting for his meeting with Lord Gremory. As he waited, one of the maid had asked him for any kind of refreshment which he politely declined. As he waited, he was so focused on his meeting with the noble lord that he didn't even notice that he was being watched. Secretly taking glimpses from outside the waiting room, Rias eyed the young boy who was waiting for a meeting with her father. She knew who Naruto was considering how many times she met him standing next to Seekvaria's side. But now, she wondered on what the young boy was doing here. She also thought about what Seekvaria told her about him turning down the offer of being Agars' heiress queen. She continued to eye him before she was startled by someone who snuck up behind her. Turning around, she saw that it was older brother and current ruler of all the underworld, Surziches with Grafia by his side. "Ani-chan," she quietly complained. "Oh my Ria-tan. You were so easy to sneak up to. Tell me, what's got your attention?" Surziches asked. Rias pointed towards Naruto, whom both Surziches and Grafia recognize as Seekvaria's personal assistant and guard. That boy. If I remember correctly, his name is, Naruto, Surziches-sama. Grafia answered for him. "Ah, yes. Thank you, Grafia. I wonder why he is here for. Does Lord Agars send him to deliver a message to father or something?" Surziches pondered, which Grafia also thought the same. "I don't think so," Rias said. "What do you mean, Rias?" Surziches asked. Rias began to explain on what happened between the young boy and Seekvaria, where the two older devils found it surprising to hear that he quit working for the Agars family, not to mention leaving their home from what Rias said to them. "Is that so? So why is he here? Is he trying to find a job here or something?" Surziches wondered. "If he is, then rest assured, Surziches-sama. I will personally make sure that he knows on what he needs to do," Grafia stated. "Maybe he wants to see if he can become part of Ria-tan future peerage member." After all, Surziches said as he looked down on his baby sister. "You are just so cute and adorable." Where the two females just sighed at his behavior. Although, Rias thought that having Naruto as part of her peerage would be a good thing since she heard that he was strong for his age. She had mixed feelings about it since Seekvaria wanted him for her own peerage. Surziches and Grafia also had the same thought but knew more in detail that Naruto has shown qualities to be a great queen or any other piece for a peerage, given how well knowledge he is. As the three thought about on why the boy was here, they saw that one of the maids led him towards Lord Gremory's office. Being a little curious, the three followed where Surziches and Rias kept their ears on the door, while Grafia sighed at their childish behavior. Walking inside the office, Naruto moved to the center of the room, standing in front of a sculpted wooden desk. Sitting in front of him with a calm feature, Lord Gremory looked intrigued at the young blonde boy. Standing next to Lord Gremory was his wife, Lady Gremory. Lady Gremory is a beautiful buxom woman that looked to be late teens. She has violet eyes, shoulder-length hair with bangs covering her forehead and side bangs framing her face. She wore a knee-length white dress and ornamented with a few jewelries on her neck. As Naruto took the moment to gaze at them, Lady Gremory also did the same as she could see that the young boy standing in front of her is well brought up, seeing that he is standing straight, his gaze looking at both her and her husband, direct eye contact. His clothes, a bit questionable in a meeting, but well kept and tidy. "Hello young man. It's good to see you again," Lord Gremory greeted. "It's also good to see you again, sir. And to you too," Lady Gremory Naruto greeted back. "Yes. This is my lovely wife, Lady Vanillina Gremory," Lord Gremory introduced to him. "A pleasure to meet you again, young one," Lady Gremory greeted back. "Now then, it's been a week since we had last talked. And to tell you the truth, I am still conflicted on helping you out, seeing that, like I mentioned before, you're still just a child." Lord Gremory. "Conflicted? By what do you mean, dear?" Lady Gremory pondered. "It's nothing to be too concerned about. Let's just say, it's a man thing in this case," Lord Gremory answered, causing the woman to wonder on what he meant. She then decided to just listen in on the conversation that these two were discussing to figure out what this young blonde wanted. "I can understand that you are being troubled by your decision, in which I would like to thank you. I know that even though you didn't do much, except admitted that you would answer my call. And for that, I am both deeply thankful and indebted to you," Naruto said. "You're welcome. But now, out of curiosity, what are you going to do, young man?" questioned the repeated lord. "As I said, my parents were both reincarnated devils but were able to earn the title of a high-class ranked devil and were made as extra demons for the Agars. However, since I am their heir, I also became a high-class devil by birth because of them. Since I am 10 years old, my father's preparation for me on retrieving my evil pieces have been set. I plan to get my set and start collecting my own peerage," Naruto stated with a serious look. Hearing Naruto say that he intends to become a king for his very own peerage was a bit surprising for the two adults in the room. It was so shocking that Rias and Surziches, who were barely able to listen, fell through the double door entrance which Naruto along with Lord and Lady Gremory's attention. Seeing the two siblings falling onto the floor in front of their parents with their guest caused both Lord and Lady Gremory to sigh in embarrassment. Though Naruto was a child, he was still a high-class family, even if his family is from a low-end standard and he was the only one left. As the two stood back up with laid-back smile on their faces, Lady Gremory turned to Grafia, who calmly walked in after the two siblings fell through the door. "Ah, Grafia, good timing. Would you discipline both Rias and Surziches for me, seeing as they inexcusably interrupted a personal meeting that we are having?" Lady Gremory asked the silver hair maid. "Of course, Lady Gremory," the maid responded with a bow. Surziches and Rias paled at what the silver hair maid was planning on how to discipline them. Quickly getting a good grip on Surziches' ear and placing a hand on Ria's shoulder, she led them out of the meeting room. It was then one of the butlers that were nearby closed the doors to the meeting room to allow them to continue the meeting in private. Once they were gone, the three that were still in the room continued to converse with each other, with Lady Gremory taking the lead. "Young man, you do know that taking care of a peerage is quite expensive, since you are the one who is going to be financially responsible with their well-being." Getting Naruto's attention. "I already understand since I was with Seekvaria-san when she was being taught about such things. Along with the fact that I was being paid by the Agars family for my work in order to obtain anything that I needed for myself, so I'm knowledgeable enough in both saving and spending money. Plus, the money of my inheritance from my parents would greatly help since I checked on all their investments to see that I will be able to take care of both me and my peerage with no problem." Naruto replied with confidence. Hearing the young boy reply, Lady Gremory still looked unconvinced. "Well then, young man, what are you going to do now?" Lord Gremory asked. "I'll go to the Satan's territory and get my evil P set, then I plan to travel and train for the next 2 years on my own before I start finding my peerage," Naruto answered. "I see then. Well, I can't really stop you since you've already left the Agars family which you are now independent. Plus, I doubt even if I ask you to work for the Gremory family you will reject it without a second thought," Lord Gremory simply stated. "You're right about that," immediately answered the blonde boy. "Well then, if that's all. I say that our meeting is now over," Lord Gremory said. "Yes it is. I'd like to both thank and apologize to you in making some time to speak to me in your busy schedule. And like I said before, I am indebted to you and your family. I will find a way to repay my debt to you," Naruto said as he bowed in respect. Once it ended, Lord Gremory called for one of his servants to escort the child out of his home. Naruto picked up his traveling bag, which he dropped to the floor right next to him during the meeting, sling it over his shoulder before following the butler out of the house. With him leaving, Lord Gremory couldn't help but lay back on his seat while placing both his hand beneath his chin as he looked at where the spot that Naruto was standing in. "Anada, are you sure it was the right thing to just leave it like this?" questioned Vanellina Gremory. Lord Gremory took a moment of silence as he thought about it. He then turned to his wife with a questionable gaze. "What would you have me do then, my love?" asking the brunette. "Offer him a job with reasonable pay and get him to live here. He is still a child where I believe that he should be under someone's care," Lady Gremory said. "True, but the way he looked at me showed that he didn't care much about wealth. He looked like someone who wanted to travel a path that many would consider suicidal. I can see that he was determined to find his own answer. If I kept him here, even by force, he would do everything he can to leave. It's best on not to trouble Grafia or the other servants with his constant escape attempts," Lord Gremory explained. Not completely understanding on what her husband was saying, Lady Gremory only looked worried as she wondered if this child would really be okay. With Naruto. As he was leaving, he heard a bit of whining where his curiosity piqued. He stopped his walking, which the butler noticed and stopped with him. He looked around a bit till he found the two people who fell through the double door during his meeting with Lord Gremory, along with a maid named Grafia, if he recalled. It wasn't long before he noticed the young Redeed girl, along with the two elder adults, to see that they were being watched. Currently, Rias was standing close by while Grafia had a giant fan which she used it to discipline Surziches. Taking this moment on trying to escape, Rias walked up to the blonde where the two looked at each other. Before she could say a word, Naruto held his hand up before turning it into a fist as he smiled directly at her. Those that were around them, as well as Lord and Lady Gremory, who had stepped out to speak to Rias and Surziches' embarrassing behavior. Rias blinked confusedly at what the blonde boy was doing to her. Before she could even ask, Naruto spoke up. "Consider this a challenge. I know that you are planning to become a king for your own peerage one day, just like me. As for me, I don't know what I plan to do in life, but I do enjoy a good challenge. So little Grimoire heiress, when the time comes I hope you can provide me a proper challenge when our raiding game comes since I don't plan on losing. Naruto declared to Rias. Seeing that she was being challenged like this, Ria's confusion changed to a confident expression where she mimics Naruto's pose. Alright, but I doubt you can challenge me since I don't plan on losing either. Seeing Ria's response with confidence caused her family that were around her to smile at accepting the challenge that Naruto declared to her. With that, Naruto dropped his pose before excusing himself where the butler led him out of the Grimoire estate. Seeing Naruto walk out, Lord and Lady Grimoire both mentally smiled at seeing that aside from her friends, there will be a rival out there that would truly push her to her limits when the time comes. A few days later, Naruto stood in front of a stone monument. This stone monument is a special one since it is where all the high-class devils and above, whoever wanted to, collect their evil pieces from here. Naruto stood in front of the entrance to the monument, he revealed his status as a high-class devil. Seeing the monument respond positively, Naruto moved forward where he now stood in arm's length. Doing what was required, Naruto watched as his set of 15 evil pieces were formed. Each piece was that of a chess piece where all but the king piece was formed since he was the king from the beginning. Collecting them into a small chest box, to keep them safe, he placed each one of them inside it. As he was doing this, he notices that his queen and several other pieces' appearances were slightly different from the others. Wondering what it was, Naruto figured that he'll figure it out later on during his journey. Once he got what he wanted, Naruto walked out of the monument towards the closest forest area. Making minimal time, Naruto picked up one of the sticks that laid on the ground before tossing it up in the air. Once the stick hit the ground, he saw at which direction the stick landed and where he followed it, seeing as he would let both fate and luck decide on what he would do. 7 months later. On normal days, one would consider a hike to be a pleasant and calm exercise. However, when a person considers a hike to be climbing up a freezing mountain region while only wearing a plain red t-shirt and jeans with sneakers, many would see it as insane. That's what Naruto was thinking about as he was doing just that. Step by step, going up inch by inch through harsh snowy winds up a mountain with nothing but simple clothing and a backpack was something that the young blonde wondered to himself if he really has become insane. As he climbed up, he can feel his strength fading since he has been climbing through this harsh region for several hours without rest. Deciding to make camp, Naruto continued to climb higher while glancing around to see if there was any type of shelter. It wasn't long before he spotted a rocky terrain with a cave. Making his way, Naruto got out of the chilling wind where the cave offered a relief point. Being able to get away from the cold wind, Naruto looked in his backpack where he pulled out a simple gas-powered firebox. Using his lightning to create a small spark, he was able to get a decent fire up and running. Warming himself up a bit, Naruto soon pulled out from his backpack a windbreak to cover the front entrance of the cave, a heavy-duty sleeping bag, and some canned food goods. As he allows the small fire to embrace around him, Naruto thought back for the past 7 months. Since he began his journey, Naruto has stayed in isolation, while only going to towns or villages in order to work, earn money for necessities before returning where he left off. After getting his evil pieces, Naruto traveled by foot, only teleporting when he needed to get from one edge of a city or village to the other. As he traveled, he gathered any information such as the local plant and animal life in order to survive by living off the land. Although he entered several devil territories, he avoided the main territory of the lords that own the land to assure his own safety and such. The very first 2 months, he maneuvered through the forest, parkour through the trees, boulders, and other wilderness landmarks that were in his route in order to train his agility and stamina. Of course, the terrain of the wilderness soon became survival in a new area as Naruto crossed from the forest to the desert area of the underworld. Unlike the human world, the underworld don't have oceans or seas, but several large terrains of desert wasteland, small grasslands, patches of forest area, rocky terrains, and small patches of water in the form of rivers, small streams and ponds. Think of the third Ridbeat movie. For the next 4 months, Naruto had traveled through the harsh wasteland as well as avoiding and fighting dangerous creatures. During that time, he had to strengthen his will and body in order to create traps and such when he hunted for anything eatable or needed an area to sleep. After several months of living through such a harsh environment, Naruto decided to change his surroundings, where he went to the closest city to look in a library. It only took Naruto some time until he found his next training area in one of the harshest environments to live on, a snow mountain terrain that is located north by northwest. Teleporting to the closest village city to the area, he gathered all the supplies that he would need, along with the local information about the area. He made his move. It has been nearly a month since he started where he found crossing the terrain very harsh. He had to use his demonic powers to keep himself from freezing, which also interfered with him able to sense anything. He would have teleported back to a village in order to resupply, but Naruto found it too difficult since he isn't able to concentrate in the harsh cold. Because of his inability to teleport, he was stuck in the mountain terrain where he got himself lost after a few avalanches fell. He would have flown using his devil wings, but he promised himself that he won't travel by air since he wanted to get stronger. This led to him to press forward where he had to survive by getting whatever crossed his way. He killed fur animals which he used for meat and warmth, such as his windbreak which was a fur pelt. Everything that he went through led to this point, where his only provisions left are nothing more than a day of food and water, while his only heat to keep him warm through the night was about finish, since he doesn't have much flammable gas. His thought stopped when he notices that his heater stove was about to flicker out. Deciding to save whatever gas he has left, Naruto pulled out his sleeping bag, along with several warm fur pelts which he covered himself around like a cocoon, turned off the heater, and slept for the night. Unknown to the young blonde, from a secure distance, there were a pair of eyes on the young devil. Normally, this kind of action would be cause of concern, however these eyes gazed at him with impressiveness and curiosity. Seeing the blonde turn in for the day, the sharp pair of eyes with lavender sclera turned their head away before leaving the boy alone. 7 days later. It has been nearly a week since he ran out of supplies. His food and water supply has been depleted, which caused Naruto to be concerned about his current situation. Using the snow as a water source, after he heated it up with his magic, he was able to survive for a bit longer, but he hasn't been able to find anything to eat. Breathing heavily in the cold air, he shivered as he continued to move forward in an attempt to continue to warm himself up from his kinetic movement while keeping an eye out. Traveling for another hour, Naruto found himself being blocked in from large rock walls. Having no choice, Naruto started to climb up the 200 feet. Rock crevice with everything he had, while fighting off the cold air that blew around him. As he climbed up, he struggled very hard in order to keep himself from falling. More than a few times that he slipped from loose rocks boulders but was able to keep himself from falling back down. While he climbed the mountain wall, Naruto's struggle was being viewed by the same pair of eyes that watched him over the past couple of days. However, this person wasn't alone. With the person were a couple of other individuals that watched what the blonde-haired devil was doing. "I must say, he's a very stubborn one, don't you agree?" said one. "Yes, but to see a young child like that, no older than 10 years, challenging such a harsh environment with nothing but regular clothes, this boy is definitely looking for a suicidal way to die," said another. "I don't believe so. From what I can see, he looks like he is searching for something important, who knows what is though. But I can see that he is determined to gain strength. Plus, I am sure that you can sense something from the boy, right?" said the one that been watching him the most. "Yes, but I don't know what it is. It feels like there's something blocking him from unleashing his powers or is just being sealed off for some reason," said another. "In any case, we should get the boy to a secure area to start explaining on why he is here in this territory when everyone knows that this area is off limits." "Yes, we should get him now since he is close to dying," said the one with lavender eyes. However, it was after he finished his sentence that they heard the boy unconsciously shout out loud. Turning to see, the boy has finally reached the top but almost fallen from a loose piece of boulder. Unfortunately, the shout caused the snow to shift a bit where an avalanche was now dropping down on him. Seeing what was happening, the group immediately went to the boy's aid. But Naruto. Looking up from his climbing, he saw that he finally made it to the edge of the cliffside where he pulled himself all the way. Making it, he breathed a sigh of relief, but soon ceased when the rock debris that he held came loose, almost making him fall, where he made an unintentional shout. Keeping himself from falling, he got himself on the top, but it was there for him to see that his shout has now started an avalanche. Unable to catch a breath, he immediately started to run, following the edge of the mountainside cliff in order to get away. However, he knew he wasn't going to make it where he instinctively brought his devil wings. Before he could even think about flying, he looked down to see a small slope that slides to the side, away from the avalanche. Deciding to take it, Naruto folded his wings before making the jump over the cliff. As he fell, Naruto gathered whatever demonic power he has left, where he used it to fire at the side of the mountain cliff to push him away from it. Focusing on reaching the slope, he didn't ponder on how to land it where he landed on his slide before tumbling away from the avalanche. Unfortunate, the avalanche was widespread, causing the area that Naruto fell in to cause its own avalanche that followed him down where he was soon buried inside. But the unknown group. They raced towards the boy only to see the recklessness that he took in order to avoid the avalanche, which would have worked if it wasn't for the avalanche's size and width. Following where the boy fell, they soon saw that the boy was buried completely underneath the snow. It was here that they started to use their fire magic to dig the boy out as fast as they could. But Naruto. Almost unconscious from the fall and second avalanche, Naruto's vision was dark as he couldn't see, only feel the cold wrapping around him. As he started to fall asleep, his mind went to his memories as he read his father and mother's last message to him. He remembered it so well that he could remember every word and sentence that was written. Flashback. Naruto sat in his bed as he opened the letter where he saw that it was his father's handwriting. Dear Naruto. If you are reading this letter, then it means that we aren't with you anymore. My son, I'm writing this letter from both me and your mother to you. I'm sure there are a lot of questions and answers that you want from us, but I can't give them to you. The only thing that we can leave you now is our words. First, let me say that on the day you were born, something incredible happened. For me, it was the day that I became a father as well as being honored for your appearance. On that day, something that shouldn't be possible did happen. Because of this, we hid this event from anyone and made sure that one day, you would be able to unlock the secret that you have within you. I know that this would be a burden, but when the time comes, I believe you would use it as a gift and grow into a great man. Now, from your mother, she wishes for you to grow big and strong. Eat all your vegetables, take baths regularly, sleep well, study hard, and make lots of friends. Have lots of dreams and fulfill them all. And as your father, I ditto the same thing as your loudmouth mother. Love, Minato and Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. Then flashback. Remembering what his letter from his parents wrote, he thought about his parents' words. Dreams, my dreams. What are my dreams? I don't even know yet. Mom, Dad, I don't know what I want. Do I want a family? Do I want money? Am I going to die not doing anything, not being able to have a dream, not having any real friends, although I don't know but I know that I have to. As the group of hidden individuals continue to try and dig out the young blonde, it was here that they suddenly ceased their movements as they sense a very large and powerful demonic power being unleashed underneath them. It was then that the demonic power was synchronizing with another power that was emerging, a power that they know all too familiar. Before anyone could say anything, a large explosion of power burst a small distance away from them where all the snow was blown away. I have to live. In the middle of the explosion, they witnessed the blonde-haired child standing, panting harshly as his power started to settle down. As stunned to see the child standing on his own after the avalanche, seeing what appeared on his back was something they couldn't believe. On his back, a pair of white dragon wings appeared as it spread out proudly for all the world to see. After standing up for a few brief moments, the white wings soon folded themselves back inside the blonde's body before the boy himself fell forward as he passed out after his demonic release. But the child. Yes, I know, for him to have that power. To see those wings on him. It only explains on how he is defying death with that stubborn attitude. To see the new white one here, I can only imagine this to be the work of fate or something else. In any case, let's take him somewhere so he can recover from the cold and get some answers. The violet-eyed person said, which the others also agreed. Being groggy, Naruto's eyes started to flicker with movement as he started to wake up. Fully awakening, Naruto slowly lifted himself up where he struggled a bit to move around. It was only when he looked around that he realizes that he was in his sleeping bag inside a cave, only wearing his jeans. Turning to his side, he saw that his shirt and shoes were right next to him. Getting it opened, Naruto looked at himself to see that his injuries and bruises have been treated, along with the small bits of frostbite on his hand. Slipping out of his sleeping bag, he put back on his clothes and stepped out of the cave. It was only when he stepped out that his eyes widened in surprise at what he was seeing in front of him. All around him, either by land or air, there were dozens upon dozens of dragons moving and flying around. He was amazed on how many types of dragons that were living here. Before Naruto could even start exploring, he was suddenly caught by surprise when a 10-meter-tall dragon landed in front of him, looking fearlessly at him. After escaping and fighting dangerous creatures for nearly a year, Naruto wasn't as fearful at seeing a tall dragon in front of him. Instead, with a blank face, he just lifted a hand to the dragon. "Sup," the blonde child lazily said. "Morning, child." The dragon. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, a high-class devil. Nice to meet you. No, where exactly am I? And what's with all these dragons?" Naruto curiously asked. "Greetings, young devil child. As for you questions, you'll get your answers in a bit. But first, you must eat, considering on how long you haven't eaten," the dragon said. Before he could say, Naruto heard his stomach growl where he fell to his knees as he remembered that he hasn't eaten anything for nearly a week. But by now, he guessed that it's been longer than a week. Agreeing, the dragon lifted him off the ground and flew him to a local water hole where there was fish. Once there, the dragon simply splashes his large claws into the water where only 5-10-inch fishes came out. A bit of dragon fire and the fish were cooked well done. Quickly eating the fish, he felt a whole lot better after nearly starving to death from the freezing cold. Having a belly full of fish, the dragon led Naruto towards an area that, from what he can sense, where the strongest of the dragons are residing in. Arriving at their destination, Naruto looked around to see 15 dragons moving around in a circular motion, eyeing him with interest. Before he could say anything, a 16th dragon landed in front of him, where he definitely felt the amount of demonic aura around him. The dragon was a gigantic western dragon that stood 15 meters tall. The majority of his body is covered with dark purple scales. His lower body, specifically his belly, the inner portions of his long tail and legs, is beige in color. The dragon has a triangular head with yellow horns, a pair of large, sharp eyes with lavender sclera. He also has sharp canine teeth and long sharp yellow nails for claws with wings resembling a bat's, with rigid tips. Along with that, he wore black armored shoulder pads that extends down to his arms and a loincloth decorated with metal accessories. Naruto knew that this dragon was familiar to him for some reason, but he wasn't sure since he hasn't been keeping up with the latest news in the underworld for a while. Upon meeting the dragon, Naruto decided to act nicely since he know that creatures this big and powerful would easily use him as a ping pong ball. Greetings, I'm Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. A high-class devil from an extra demon family. Ah no, may I ask for your name? He politely asked. Greetings as well, young one. I am Tannen, lord of this kingdom of dragons that you are now standing on. Tannen introduced himself. Hearing Tannen's name, Naruto widened his eyes as he spoke out loud about how much he knew about said dragon. Tannen, you mean is Tannen, the former dragon king who is known as the meteor dragon. That Tannen. Questioning in disbelief at seeing a legendary figure in front of him, which the dragon nodded in response. Naruto bowed respectively before looking up at him. It's an honor to meet you, sir. I have seen several of your past recorded rating game matches back from over 100 years ago. To meet you is indeed a great honor. Kindly said the blonde. I see that my reputation is still very much alive if young ones such as yourself know about me. Although, I should be the one to say that I am pleased to meet you. To think that he would be reborn into this world as your retainer is a surprise to me as it is you to see me. Tannen remarked. Reborn? What are you talking about, Tannen-sama? Naruto asked. We'll get to that in a little bit. However, I should be asking on why you were traveling around in my territory, nearly half dead no less. Tannen with a questioning gaze. Your territory? I thought I was outside any devil's territory. I must have wandered in by accident because I got lost by the snow and mountain terrain. Naruto muttered, which Tannen and the other dragons were able to hear. In any case, the reason why I was traveling through that hell was to find my path. The blonde stated. Find your path? Tannen muttered. For a while now, I have been traveling around the underworld, getting stronger while trying to find on what I should do in the future. For a while now, I didn't know on what I should do with my life. I had thought about going back to Agars' family and become Seekvaria's queen or whatever piece she sees fit for me. But I remembered my parents' letter, which a part of me told me that I should find my own path that isn't involved with the pillar families. I feel like that the path I want to create for myself would show me on what I should. I'm sure that someone like you would understand my predicament. Naruto honestly explained. Yes, no matter the reason, either pleasantry or tragedy, it is never too late to find the path you wish to seek for oneself. However, it still doesn't explain on why you were traveling on foot through snow with nothing more than plain clothes and a backpack. Tannen pointed back at the situation. As I was trying to find my path, I also used the terrain to train myself into getting stronger. And I won't be able to get any stronger if I just take the easy way to pass any of my obstacles. Naruto stated. Tannen mentally grinned from Naruto's words since it showed that the power that he witnesses earlier is indeed sealed inside a deserving host. I see, and it's because of the situation you were just in, you were not only determined to find an answer, but also awaken the power that was sealed within. Tannen said. Power? What power are you talking about? Naruto questioned. It's understandable that you don't know what I am talking about. Unconsciously, you stood up while releasing the power that was dormant inside of you. Although, I am curious on how no one in the underworld weren't able to sense it, since it is as bright as day right now for me and the other dragons. Tannen wondered. I don't get it, what are you talking about? Naruto questioned him again, annoyed at how Tannen wasn't answering his question. Your sacred gear. Tannen finally said to the young blonde, whom looked surprised. Sacred gear? What are you talking about? I know that only humans and human hybrids are only able to be born obtain sacred gears. I was born from 2 devil parents. There's no way that I can have it. Naruto stated. That's true, although the dragon aura that I'm now sensing from you can change one's perspective about it. Tannen retort. Naruto's mouth just opened and closed, trying to say something, but isn't able to come up with the words. Before he could even try and say something about it, Tannen spoke up again. If you are still having any doubts, then why don't you bring your sacred gear out? In order for you to do it, you need to concentrate and have the will to summon it from deep within your soul. Tannen explained. Naruto did what Tannen said, where he focuses his will and search through his soul. After a bit of concentration, he felt something he never felt before. He focused his will on it where he brought it forth. It was then, a pair of white dragon wings emerged from the blonde's back for the whole world to see. Opening his eyes, Naruto turned his face back to see them. Naruto is stunned to see these white wings. What are these wings? And how can I have them? Naruto questioned in disbelief. That young child is your sacred gear. To be more precise, it's dividing, thus making you not only its new wielder, but also inherit the title as the White Dragon Emperor. You, young man, are a Longinus user. Tannen simply responded. Hearing that he was the White Emperor Dragon, Naruto couldn't believe it since the title alone has raised his status as a high-class devil to a new level, especially once he mastered it. Seeing the boy in wonder, Tannen decided to ask him something. Now then, what are you going to do? Getting the blonde's attention. Are you going to continue on your journey to get stronger and find your path, or have you decided to try a new approach since of your new discovery? Tannen explained. The young blonde preteen remained silent for a bit before he looks at Tannen. No, near death, I realize that I still need to keep moving forward if I want to make both my dreams and goals come true, even if I don't know them just yet. I just don't know on how to move from here though. He answered. Even on what he has seen on the boy, as well as the potential that he notices from him earlier, he knew that this boy could achieve anything with enough training and experience. I see. Well then. If you aren't sure, then I can lend you a hand. How about you stay here in my territory? Really? But why? Not that I'm not both honor and privilege to be here. Naruto said. Seeing that the fact that you are now the new White Dragon Emperor, I feel like as a fellow dragon, I should teach you on what you need to know in order to fully unleash your power. But be warned, if you accept my offer, you'll know what true hell really means. Tannen, intimidating, said. Naruto looked at the dragon in silence for a moment before he smirked at the legendary Dragon King. If that's all you have to say, then when do we begin? Naruto responded, which Tannen smirked at his newest apprentice. As the two stand in front of each other, Naruto knew that this would be the best type of training that he'll need, since in finding his goal, he would now train her harder than ever before. And with the legendary ultimate class devil and former Dragon King as his mentor, he couldn't ask for anyone better. Harsh winds blew with only 5 feet of visibility as the harsh frigid terrain. Right now, a harsh blizzard with high winds blowing, the frigid snow became like knives to a piece of paper. Yet, in these rough conditions, the sounds of battle could be heard as two individuals fought each other. One had a familiar spiky blonde hair teen wearing athletic snow gear, such as a jacket with hood, snow pants, steel-tip boots, and etc. As he kept his composure, he stayed focused as he waited for the person to make their move. Waiting for the attack to come, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze prepared himself to make his next move. Across from him was a young, 16-year-old woman with black hair wearing a large white winter coat that covered her entire body and her leg-length tights and shoes. Although the coat covered her body, it still revealed her developing buxom figure. Of course, it was second to what caught people's attention, which were her cat ears and tails. She is both Naruto's friend and first peace bishop of his peerage, Kuroka the Nekashu. Naruto had met Kuroka a month after he officially finished training under Tannen. The first thing he did was to go to the nearest town to get some information before going to Lilith in order to fully be in control to his inheritance money. Flashback. Every month, he sent a letter to the government that he was still alive so that the government wouldn't steal his inheritance away. It also helped that mentioning Tannen's name was a big thing as well, saying that the legendary dragon was his mentor and training, which only a few from above know. This did not include the Satans. As he walked around the closest town, he bumped into a taller girl with long black hair, wearing a hooded jacket, where they apologized to each other before turning the corner. The young girl quickly went to her secret hideout, which was an old ruined condemned building. Inside, the black hair looked at her prize to see that the wallet she stole had a good amount of money. Walking towards a more secluded area, she met up with a younger girl who looked to be no more than 9 to 10 years old. Before they could rejoice on getting some cash, the two heard some tapping nearby, where they turned to see Naruto. Before any conflict could be said, Naruto looked at the black-haired girl, who was wearing a hood. You have quite a knack on stealing things. But I can see that you did it in order to help her out. How about this, you give me back my wallet and I'll treat you two to a nice lunch. That way, we can talk, since I'm very interested in talking with a Nekomata. He smiled while giving off an aura that was warm and friendly. Then flashback. It was during lunch that Naruto learned Kuroka's name. She explained that she only stole his wallet in order to get food for both her and her sister, Shirin. As they talked, he learned on how her mother died and how the two were left on their own in the underworld with no one to depend on but each other. Naruto told him that he understands, since he came from a similar situation on losing his parents and such. After thinking for a bit, Naruto offered her a deal where he makes her be the first of his peerage as his bishop. Recall how Nekomatas are skills in the mystic arts. Kuroka has heard about the evil P system and was surprised to know that the boy eating with them was a high-class devil. After discussing some things, Kuroka agreed to be part of his peerage and asked if her sister would also join her. Naruto thought it was a good idea, but disagree with Shirin once he gone down to it, since he'll be traveling a lot where it would be hard for Shirin to come along, since odds are that they would face big trouble, especially since he has something that attracts trouble like metal to magnet. It was then that he had an idea which would not only please Kuroka, but also help in repaying a debt that he owed to a certain family. Suggesting the idea, Kuroka was a bit conflicted, but Naruto assured her that she could visit her sister whenever they have any spare time during their travels. Having that condition, they both agreed. It was then that the two noticed that Shirin had eaten 10 plates of delicious steak dinners, which Naruto smiled since he knew that it was going to cost him a bit, but worth it in having Kuroka as his companion. Recalling the event on where he set up the meeting with the family, Naruto remembered how it played out. Flashback. It was late in the afternoon as Naruto led the way while having Kuroka and her sister, Shirin, follow him to their destination. As he led the way, he didn't pay attention to the two Nekomata sisters, since he knew that it was a private conversation for them. But, he could hear the bit of whimpering from the younger one and bit of sniffling from Kuroka. He knew that Shirin was upset while Kuroka felt saddened on having to leave her only family member, but did what she believes would be the best for Shirin, since unlike her, she was still too young for something as serious as traveling around or fighting possible dangers. After a bit, the three made it to the front gate of the mansion of one of the most famous pillar families, the Gremory. Talking with the guard, he had asked if he could have a conversation with Lady Gremory and her daughter, since he knew that Lord Gremory would be busier than her. Waiting for several minutes, the guard allowed him and his two companions to enter. Calmly walking towards the mansion, Kuroka and Shirin looked odd at being able to walk in such a place. It didn't take long before the three made it to the front double doors where they were greeted by, to Naruto only, a familiar silver hair maid. "Welcome Namikaze-san," greeted the maid without bowing. "Hello again Grafia-san. I hope I'm not inconveniencing both Lady Gremory and Ria's Gremory." Naruto politely responded with a bow for both proper courtesy and apology. "You did come rather unsuspectedly. However, Lady Gremory remembered who you are and has made some time to see you." Grafia responded. "I see. Well, I'll apologize for my abrupt action and make my meeting with her quick," Naruto politely said. Grafia smiled gently at how mature and respectful that the young blonde is acting. In her personal opinion, she believed that he would be a perfect servant to Ria's, since not only are they young, but knew that he would be a great help to her. In fact, she and Lady Gremory had discussed the matter with Lord Gremory and Surziches, since they can see the potential he has for a queen or any other piece. Although, those conversations were put to rest when Lord Gremory dropped the matter, since he would not try anything with the boy given on what he has seen from the young blonde's eyes. Before allowing him to walk in, Naruto got Grafia's attention where he introduced his bishop, Kuroka, and her younger sister, Shirin. "Hello, Naya," Kuroka cheerfully said. "Greetings," Shirin said more refined. Acknowledging them, she allowed all three inside where she then led the way towards the veranda that Lady Gremory and Rias were waiting at. Walking through the hallways, the group of four reached the backyard of the mansion towards the veranda. There, Naruto and the two girls saw Lady Gremory politely waiting with some tea in her hand, while next to her was a younger version of her, but with crimson hair waiting patiently. From the large amount of red crimson hair, he knew that it was Rias. Although, standing next to Rias was an unknown girl with long black hair tied in a ponytail. Making it to the veranda, Grafia introduced Naruto to Lady Gremory, as well as his two other companions. At the same time, Lady Gremory introduced herself to the two new girls, then to Rias and her queen, Akeno Himejima. Seeing them up close, Naruto could see that Rias has changed a bit, not just by height, but also figure where she was starting to signs of developing into a woman, given the small curve in her chest were giving away. The same could be said to Akeno, learning her name from Venilana, whom he can tell was going to be just as attractive as Kuroka. Once everyone met with each other, Lady Gremory allowed everyone to sit around the table with Grafia standing nearby, in case anyone wants something. Getting to business, Lady Gremory asked Naruto on why he asked to meet with her all of a sudden. Taking this moment, Naruto asked if he could discuss this with her in private before talking to Rias. Giving it a moment to think about it, Lady Gremory agreed where the two took their conversation outside the veranda near the flower garden. This left the other five alone where they looked at each other. The tension between everyone was high, but wasn't troublesome, just awkward. The tension ceased when they all heard a small grumbling. They all turned to the little white-haired Nekomata, who looked up to her sister. "Hungry," Monotone said. Smiling at how innocent her sister was acting, Kuroka turned to Grafia and asked for something sweet for Shirin. Nodding, Grafia went to retrieve a few snacks for her as well as the other girls, but not before leaving another maid to look after them. While she was gone, Rias decided to break the ice with them. "No, as you know, my name is Rias Gremory. And this is my best friend and queen, Akeno." Rias introduced herself while Akeno did the same thing with a bow. "Nice to meet you. I'm Kuroka and this is my sister, Shirin." Kuroka and Shirin did the same. Out of curiosity, why are you three here for? Is there something you need? Riaz asked while mentally thinking on how adorable Shirin is, where she also thought that it was unfair for a small girl to be so cute. Yeah, in a way. But I think it's best to let my king speak to you about it. Kuroka responded. Your king? Akeno repeated. Hi, the blonde boy is my king, since I'm his bishop. Kuroka responded. Riaz was taken by surprise since she remembered who Naruto was, but was surprised to hear that he actually started on gaining his peerage, just like he said. Before anything else could be said, Greyfear returned with some snacks which was divided between sweet and healthy for children, like small blueberry muffins, celery sticks, and such. As the group of girls talked, Naruto and Lady Gremory were discussing on today's surprise visit. It's good to see that you are doing well, young man. The last time I saw you was almost 2 years ago, I think. How have you been doing? Lady Gremory asked. I'm doing fine. Traveling around the underworld had helped me a lot. I was able to find my own path and have started on trying to achieve my goal now. Naruto responded. Oh, and what would be your goal? The buxom brunette questioned. To be the strongest emperor in history, where I will then become a Satan. Naruto answered. Lady Gremory was a bit taken back at hearing that this young blonde child wishes to become a Satan. Although, she knew that the chances of him becoming one is very unlikely because of diplomatic matters and other issues, she admitted that it was still an admirable goal to achieve. Also, becoming an emperor, since she guessed that he was talking about the title emperor in the rating games, which is being held by the #1 champion, Daihauser Belial. She knew that this would be a goal that could happen if the boy is determined enough. I see. Well, just to let you know, my son is one of the 4 Satans and is very powerful. I hope you know what you are getting yourself into. Lady Gremory stated. I know, but I know that I won't become Satan like that. I know that not only am I going to work hard, but it would take time. That's why I'm just going to do what I can for now and achieve the titles later. Naruto said. That's a good way of thinking. Now then, let's discuss on your sudden visit here. Ah yes. First off, I would like to apologize if I disrupted your busy schedule or anything like that. The blonde apologized. No, you haven't much. But thank you for your apology. Lady Gremory politely said. To the main issue on why I am here. I would like to propose something to your daughter. Naruto stated. Propose? Lady Gremory said before she grew a sly smile on her face. Oh my, although I'm not surprised given how cute my Riaz is and how beautiful she will become in the future. I'm afraid that she is already arranged to someone else. But if you wish to earn her hand. I know what are talking about. Naruto confusedly stated with a sweat drop on his head. Huh? You aren't here on asking my daughter's hand in marriage? Lady Gremory asked. Oh no. I just came here to ask her if she was alright in taking care of someone. Naruto said. Taking care of someone? Venelana repeated. Yes, as you see. I already have Kuroka as my bishop. And although I would like to have her sister as part of my peerage, but to be honest, it would be a bad idea. Given how I'll plan on continue my travels in both the underworld and on earth to not only look for my peerage members, but also doing my own thing, plus with any duties that someone like me would have to do, I know that it won't be a good environment for Shirin. So, I was hoping if Riaz is alright on taking care of Shirin as part of her peerage for Kuroka. Naruto suggested to the lady. I see, so that's why you came here today. You thought about not just the young girl's well-being, but also letting my Riaz having a new member in her peerage. Lady Gremory assumed. Yes. As much as I don't want to split them up. I know that Riaz and Shirin would become good friends, which Kuroka would want her sister to have, as well as being somewhere safe for her to grow up in. Although, I did promise Kuroka whenever we have any free time from training and such, she could come here and visit her. That's why I'm asking you if you would be alright with the situation. Naruto said before saying something else a bit childish-like. And although this isn't intended, you can also say that I'm starting to pay back my debt to you and your family. Although I wish it wasn't like this. While rubbing his head. Thinking about it, she knew about Nekomatas and knew that the 2 girls were Nekashus, given how Kuroka has 2 tails. She knew that this particular species is able to use Senjutsu, which could increase in power, which would make a powerful piece for her daughter. She also knew that he does have a debt to her family, even if it's an unneeded one. She was glad to know that he was keeping his word, which was a boost of respect for the blonde in her eyes. A few more moments of thought, Lady Gremory looked down at the preteen blonde before she nodded in agreement, which Naruto bowed in gratitude. Coming back to the group, Lady Gremory and Naruto sat back down where she explained to Riaz, in less detail, that Naruto wanted her to take in Shirin as part of her peerage, since it would be a more suitable environment for the young child. Hearing that she was being offered a chance to add a new member to her peerage, she was delighted. Although she wondered if it was alright with the young white-haired Nekomata. Riaz asked her if she was alright with her. Being put on the spot, Shirin was a bit nervous where she looked a bit uncomfortable. It soon ceased when Naruto spoke to her. "Shirin, if you don't want to live here as part of Ria's peerage, then we'll find a way in order for us to live by." With a gentle face. Hearing what the blonde king said eased her tension a bit, that caused her to remember on what kind of dangerous that she and her sister would face. Although Kuroka explained to her where they might be put in some kind of danger and such, it does cause her to be worried for not only her own life, but her sister's life too. However, hearing that living with Ria's and the Gremory family, she would not only have a place to live and train, but also be given a chance to have friends and grow up like a regular girl, well, as regular as a devil family can get. It would also put Kuroka's mind at ease if she would live here instead of constant traveling, since she knew that Kuroka wasn't the type to stay in one spot for too long. After a few minutes of thinking, she said that she would stay with Ria's. Hearing it, Ria's was happy since she openly said that she now feels like she has a cute baby sister to look after. Seeing their interaction pleased Naruto and Lady Gremory. It was here that Lady Gremory asked Grafia to prepare a room for Ria's future peace, which she agreed. As things welted down, Naruto asked if he could leave Kuroka under her family's care for a bit, since he needed to settle some things with his inheritance, since he needed to use it to be financially secure when he finds the rest of his peerage. As well as letting the two sisters spend whatever time they have left before they are separated from each other for the time being. Agreeing to it, Naruto left for Lilith in order to handle his business while Kuroka and Shirin hang out for a bit longer, while also forming a friendship to both Ria's and Akeno. Then flashback. After leaving the underworld, Naruto had help in training Kuroka to be a proper bishop, since the bishop piece gives the person assigned to it an increase in magical abilities, yet weaken physical defense. The first thing that Naruto got Kuroka was to spar with him so he can see what she got. The spar lasted for 30 minutes, which Naruto was impressed that Kuroka is able to use poison along with having agility, balance, and intellect in fighting him. With that, Naruto intended to help her increase her power, but utilizing her new demonic abilities, where she would be able to increase her magic output without worrying about straining her body. And like he promised her, whenever they have a few days off, Naruto allowed Kuroka to go to the Gremory mansion to see her sister, where he found out that Shirin had changed her name for her new life, which Ria's give to her by her own request. Shirin's new name is Kaneko. Although she goes by Kaneko, she only allowed Kuroka to call her Shirin. The two were having a training session in an isolated secluded area in the northern Arctic region in Norway. The reason why they were training here is because of two reasons. One is because Naruto knew that it would help increase both their endurance and stamina. The second is the reason on why they came to Finnmark. Currently, it was night where the northern lights could be seen above them, dancing into among the sky. It was both a welcoming and a treat after they've accomplished Naruto's assignment that he was given. Recently, near the city of Finnmark, there have been several strange phenomena that is starting to catch the eye on some factions. The Devil faction is one of them, where the investigation revealed that some people have been disappearing, along with a recent sighting of a monster. Not wanting to take chances of it being a stray devil, especially since the city was so far up north that many of the other factions would not get involved unless it was serious, the higher-ups of the Devil faction ordered one of the young devil heirs to investigate and take care of the situation if needed. It was here that Naruto received his first order, since he wasn't just a high-class devil, but also a rookie king. But of course, that was just the limelight of it, since he was a king from a no-name family and isn't an heir to one of the pillar families, as well as being a high class, so they figured if he died where there wouldn't be any problems later. When Naruto received the order, Naruto figured that it might be the case, where he also consulted with Tannen. The legendary dragon also agreed with the theory, but still explained to him that this was a perfect chance to earn some experience, which he agreed. It was then that he went and took his only peerage member, Kuroka, at the time to Finnmark, Norway. Reaching the city, Naruto and Kuroka, in her cat form, investigated throughout the town, where they discovered the area where the incidents have been happening. It was even harder since it was dark half of the year for the city, since night can last several months and such. Making it to the spot, Naruto and Kuroka, back in her human form, looked around, where they soon found the monster stalking them. It was a hideous monster where they can sense the demonic aura coming from it. They now knew it was a stray devil, where the two quickly challenged and destroyed it before it can continue its ravaging among the humans. During the fight, Naruto and Kuroka used delay tactics in order to get information from it, where they learned it was from a recent peerage member that it escaped from before it could kill its king. Being forced to flee, it provided a proper cover in order to escape death. Sending the report back to the underworld, Naruto decided to stay for a day or two, since it was a rare chance to view the northern lights. After having some rest, the two started their day off with a quick spar. In this environment, especially near the coast, was a feeling that the two won't forget. Soon, they ended their spar and headed back to their campsite that was outside the village. Their campsite is a 5 by 6 by 10 feet size tent that belong in a forest area in a warmer climate, not for the Arctic region. But that was just the outside. Inside the tent, it was the size of a small 2-story 8-bedroom house. On the first floor, there was a large kitchen with complete pantry, a large dining table, a study room filled with books, 2 restrooms, game room, and a large circular living room with couches that is connected to the kitchen. The circular living room is set up to not only act as a place to rest, but also to hold meetings, seeing how the couches are facing each other. In the center of the living room is a stone pit fireplace, ready to go. Turning towards the living room, Naruto looked at the firewood that was already set on the fire pit, where he ignited it with a bit of his demonic power. Once lit, he felt a lot better, while the black cat that was on his neck leapt out where it stretched before sitting on the ledge of the stone pit fireplace. Taking off his jacket and such, leaving himself with only his long-sleeved shirt and pants, Naruto turned to Kuroka. "I'm glad that I decided to put in this fire pit here. It makes warming ourselves up pretty good, wouldn't you agree?" he said before he notices on what Kuroka has done. "Oh yeah, I feel a lot better now, Naya," she said pleasantly as she felt the warmth of the fire, while turning to see that Naruto had shifted his face to the side. "Oh my, your face is pretty red right now. Are you yet still not used to seeing me like this, Naya?" she teased with him. "It's not that. I just wish you didn't show so much skin at me, Kuroka. You know, in all retrospect, I am a growing teenage male who is going through puberty, you know." Naruto responded with a blush as he felt embarrassed at seeing Kuroka's sexy body, which he is noticing more every day. Kuroka only giggled at seeing her king's reaction to her body once she stripped herself from her snow clothes. Kuroka has grown up a bit from 2 years ago, where she was now 16 years old. Her hair was a bit longer while her body became curvier where her breasts were still growing. "So Naru-chan, how long are we going to stay here? As much as like the cold, I'd rather be somewhere more enjoyable, Naya," Kuroka sarcastically said. "Don't worry, Kuroka. We'll be leaving tomorrow morning. It is also where we start our journey to find the rest of my peerage and our friends. Are you ready for it?" Naruto asked. "Yup, let's start with our adventure," Kuroka responded, where the two looked forward on what the future had for them. The end. So how was this part? I hope you like it. And if you like it, share this part with your friends and like the video too. And don't forget to subscribe our channel for daily awesome fanfiction. Okay, it's time for me to go. Bye bye.